Rule 8. Oh, hold on. Rule 8. Reclaiming defective equipment owners' responsibility. A. Reporting requirements. Handling carried must be the defective equipment to the car marker owner. Using damaged defective car tracking system, or DDCTS. Avoiding the car liability of the damaged defective car tracking system will assign the car hire liability. Viva liability continuation system for the car marker owner responsible for defects continue with the AR interchange rules 1 and 108. Home shop and contract shop disposition shall be requested and provided by the Viva the damaged defective car tracking system. The liability continuation system will transfer the car hire liability of the car marker to the car marker owner interchange of the car special road marked DSP8 at the date and the time the disposition is requested for the cars that are directed home in a contract shop by the car marker owner. If the handling carrier fails to move the car to the home or shop within 720 hours of the 30 days of the disposition, liability continuing shop system will transfer the handling carrier interchange car from the special road marker DSP8 to the handling carrier. Liability will remain the handling carrier's account until the car is interchanged with the car marker owner or the road shop or another carrier. Shopping time. Shop time. Shop time with the responsibility car marker owner. The shop time under this rule, the denoted with the verified liability continuation system interchanges into and from the shop using special road marker SHP8. Liability continuation system verified shop time will begin when allowing the following occurs. Car has been ordered to the shop and interchange of the shop has been reported to the Viva the train 2. Liability continuation system verified shop time will terminate the following occurs. Repair complete as required for the car marker owner and the verified repair for all the damaged defective car tracking systems. Intermediate carriers. Liability continuation system that will transfer the car hire responsibility marker owner interchange with the car's road marked with a DSP8. During the transportation of immediate carriers to shop with home, use the liability continuation system interchange. The liability continuation interchange, liability continuation system transfer the car's liability with the marker owner intermediate car carrier to interchanging car A. The car the special road marked DSP8 with the intermediate carrier as soon as one of the following events occur. 1. A. The car remains an intermediate carrier more than 720 hours or 30 days. B. The car changes the load empty status twice in an intermediate carrier. And Rule 9. Authority. Car separate the rules. 7. Determine the rules of the procedure for the interchange equipment. The rules are not intended to contradict such procedure, but rather incorporate reporting instructions or direction procedure for the liability continuing system default logic permit. Correct payment of car hire. B. Governing record. The official interchange record created through the liability continuation system processes will be the record used for the car hire payment and transfer liability requirements. Method of preparation. Interchange information will be reported through the train to or pass through the liability continuation system, which shall be the official interchange record and take precedence over any of the conflicting information proposed otherwise. D. Content and frequency reporting. The information reported to the train 2 system must include the car initial number, the status load or empty, month, date, and hour of the interchange delivery, receiving the record. Delivering road, receiving road, and station of interchange. The failure to report interchange correction within 120 hours of the event will result in the official interchange record being generated based on the connection. Railroad reporting the delivery receipt with the liability continuation system logic. Rule 10, liability continuation system default logic injunction reports. Default logic. All applications for the default logic remain with a minimum of 3 and some sequence logical events prior to the application of the liability continuation system logic. Default logic will be benefit the carrier if it then failed to report multiple data elements with a single interchange record. May be changed by the liability continuation system default logic to create the official liability continuation system interchange. 2. Reporting events used for the liability continuation system properly corrected interchange reporting are interchange receipt and delivery, placement, actual and constructive, arrival, departure, release, and pull. Neither carrier reports when both carriers fail to report an interchange continuing between two carriers that can be established prior to the 120th hour of sequent month. The liability continuation system will create a default interchange 1 minute prior to the time of the first event reported. The receiving carrier load empty status will be taken to the delivery carrier. The location will be determined by the liability continuation system processing. When both of the carriers are to report interchange continuing and not established prior to the 120th hour of the next reportable month, The liability continuation system will create a default interchange for the first minute of the report month that continuity is established. 4. Delivery carrier does not report. When the delivering carrier fails to report interchange, the liability continuation system will create an official interchange due to the report of the receiving carrier. Receiving carrier does not report. When the receiving carrier fails to report to the interchange, the liability continuation system will create an official interchange using the report of the delivering carrier. 6. Both of the carriers report but do not agree to when both of the carriers attempt to report same interchange, the activity location different delivering carrier's location will be used. B. When both of the carriers attempt to report same interchange activity, the time different by 4 hours or less, the delivering carrier times will be used. When both carriers attempt to report the same interchange activity, the time different by more than 4 hours, the liability continuation system will allocate the time actually between the two carriers. B. Junction reports. The interchange reported by the generated liability continuation system process encoded per Appendix J2 with this rule. The return junction is delivered road, receiving the road, and the equipment owner. Rule 11, claim handling. General interchange under this include the official interchange recorded with the liability continuation system process and car hire liability transfer reporting is specified in Rules 5 and 15 over the official interchange created by the liability continuation system. Processing will be used for the claim and issuance and statement. B, the instruction for the issuings and claims. Claims covering over errors or omission by the car hire reports or shall be presented with accordance Appendix J and J1 covering error for the high rate. The car hire rate allowed to be shall be presented in accordance with Appendix J. Appendix J3 provides the format that may be used to claims resolve the discrepancy in the car hire rates. Claims shall be presented within 3 months and within 5 months of the last day of the month in which the car hire was earned. B. Any deduction request for the amounts of $25 or less shall not be issued. A request for the authority to be deducted time portion of the car hire reported as having been earned constitute a valid claim when presented with the car over the 5 months from the last day of the month of which the car was reported. Claim shall not be presented until all the amounts previously reported have been properly credited. The total hours of which applicable car hire received of any of the car is equal greater than the total number of the hours of the car was offered on the owner's line. No claims over the short hours will be issued against any of the road. Claims in cars for the high shortage must show the applicable time and the mileage rates. For the rate shall the rate claim shall be prescribed in bilateral rates prescribed car with the negotiated default rates on the prescribed car. If the applicable bilateral negotiated rates provides the separate loaded and empty rates, the highest rate will be used. The interchange record must be shown on all claims issued. Cycle information optional. 5. If the complete interchange reports have not been received, the claim shall be filed against the railroad apparently failed to furnish the report. Claims should indicate that such information has not been received, including subsequent interchange records show hours allowed by the road for the month claimed. The following 6. The following governing the records required for the month of the prior or subsequent month claimed. A. Claim over covering the on-hand beginning of the month that must show the date and the hour of the preceding interchange recorded online and event instead of the OH. A claim on the on-hand at the end of the month showing the date and the hour of the succeeding interchange record online event shall instead of OH. C. A claim over the car offline over the beginning of the month must show the interchange prior to the month of claims. A claim of the car offline at the end of the month must show the first interchange record of subsequent months if available. 7. A claim presented in accordance with the rule may be continued to provide with the car owner returns claims to the road with which originally presented with the present in another road with a period of 2 months for the last day of the 2-month period allowed for the road which handled the claim prior to the reissuance. The number of the hours shown on the original claim may be increased by the car owner with the investigation develops the car errors due to the road from the road other than the road which the claim was originally addressed. Claims properly presented in accordance with this rule which are not handled provided with the paragraph C shall become due and payable with double penalty added to the amount claimed upon presentation by the claimant. A statement accompanied with a copy of the claim provided with such statements presenting the 6 months over the date and the amount claimed will not become due. C. Instruction on road receiving claims. A road initially receiving the claim in accordance with the paragraph B1 from the car owner must have within 7 months for the last day of the month in which the car was earned within 1 pay the all car hire claim with the resultant Penalty in the next car hire report claim should be not returned to the car owner to pay partially amount due the resultant penalty in the next of the car hire to disprove the further responsibility of official liability continuation system, interchange record, the train 28 record, and returning the returning disproved claiming to the car owner to disprove of any of the responsibility of the official liability continuation system, interchange record, or train 28 or TOL the record, returning the providing disprove the claim of the car owner. 2. If the claim is not satisfied, the car owner shall handle the next delinquent road in accordance with the paragraph B. The road receiving the claim from the car owner must within 2 months of the last day of the month, the limits of the relationship with such claim is prescribed in B7, the handle that is provided in C1 and 2. The adjusting errors for the development and handling claims. Over the payment of the errors and payment of the car hire set forth in the following paragraph, the section constitute the valid claim under provisions paragraph C above that must be handled. 2. When the car has reported to other than the car owner under the incorrect initials number for the wrong month, which in the facts is developed an investigation of the claim, reporting road shall be responsible the car owner for the car hire earned if they increase the car hire rate according to the Rule 3A and 11BA. They shall have the privilege of continuing such claim with the refund the incorrectly paid, regardless of the amount shown on the original claim from the road in which it was incorrectly reported. When the car hire has been reported to the car owner under the incorrect initials and number the wrong month, which of the fact of the development and investigation of the claim, the reporting road shall deduct the car hire previously allowed and re-allow the car hire plus a penalty to the car owner. If such deduction of the car hire from the car number to leave the car owner short car hire on the number, the car owner shall have the privilege of continuing claim under the car number on which the deduction was made. E. Adjusting of the accounting errors. Car hire deducted an error on the error which for the car hire has not been errored or reported has been errored and can be restored and with penalty. Penalty will not accrue adjusting the correction of the errors in addition with the car hire report on the transaction summary report. Interpretation. Question 1. Can a road use the internal interchange records to disapprove of the car hire liability when working with the time limit claims? No. Road must officially with a limited liability continuation system or train 28. The records to disapprove of liability applies referencing other than official liability continuation system records or train 28 TOL records that were considered invalid and such claims that will be considered as not replied to. Such claims will be subject to the provision of this rule and will provide double penalty. Question 2. Can a road line decline a time claim by referencing with agreement that is made within the party that is not an owner? The answer is no. Third-party arrangements do not relieve the equipment used from the obligation with the equipment owner, but is defined with the car hire rules, roads, pay time, as defined in the official liability continuation system and train 28 TOL records. Claims not handled in the specified car rule 11 will be subject to the provision for the rule provided with a double penalty. Rule 12, settlements and reclaims and recoveries. Settlements versus reclaims and recoveries. Settlements amount of accruing with the use of the cars that will be made monthly without regard for the claims, depending on the other car hire rules which provided for the recovery of the car hire. Scope. The rules apply. This rule applies to those roads that do not participate in the AR car hire data exchange program and referencing car hire rule 14. Car hire rule 4, 5, 21, 22, and 23. Original supplementary reclaims under the car hire rule 4, 14, 21, 22, 23 shall be presented outlined in Appendix O, Table 1. Original supplemental reclaims shall be allowed without deduction of the time and the light and limits outlined in Appendix O, Table 3. Exemption supplementary reclaims under the Rule 5 F shall be presented at the third month of before the fifth month from the month in which a switch was claimed. Switch occurred. The current reclaims are presented with the original claimant with the attainment of Appendix O, Table 2. The current reclaims should be allowed without deduction with the time outlined in Appendix O, Table 3. Reclaims and counter reclaims that are partially totally declined must be returned the reclaiming period road prior to the last day of the third month following month in which the reclaim was recovered. The privilege of continuing the reclaim thereafter shall cease when either the road fails to return into the other of the 2 months for the last day of the month in which the received delinquent road is a responsible unadjusted amount. C. General provisions. Provision for the paragraph A and B will prevent the continuation of the reclaim after the period named if then has been proceeded open with the reclaim eventually rests upon some of the road other than the originally addressed, except the reclaim shall be presented to such other road within 2 months for the last day of each of the month, last day of the month in which it was received and claiming the further handling with subject to the provisions of paragraph A and B. 2. Reclaims shall be made with the designated officer of the road which paid for the car hire, designated officer of the road which acceptance allows a reclaim use unlessly specifically agreed in interest road for the permit of the presentation and acceptance for the such claim by local representative. 3. Reclaims not handled with reclaiming of the road will within the time limit described in paragraph A and B with the reclaim be increased with 10%. The facility processing reclaims prepared with the provision in paragraph A and B. The rule must be summarized with the car hire summary with a similar with the illustrated in appendix N. When a car hire is earned with more than 1 month of the last calendar, we'll consider the month the car hire was earned. Rule 14, the time limit of deducting reclaims. General provision. The deduction provisions contained in this rule are only applicable if 1. The road is participating in the AAR car hire data exchange program reclaims format. 2. The reclaim is under the car hire rules 21, 22, and 23, provided with the bilateral special agreements. Participants will not be required to furnish the paper reclaim with the detail on the other participants' page. Detail on the summary reports must be provided with the non-participation in the month of which the deduction is made. The continuation of any reclaim beyond the scope of this rule will be handled under the provision of Rule 13. Original claim. Original claim as provided in paragraph A may be deduction time frame or outlined in appendix P, table 1. Counter reclaim statements for the original reclaim statement to be counter deducted in one-time basis of the time frame and outlined in appendix P, table 2. The counter reclaims other than one-time basis shall be presented but provided in Rule 13. These supplementary reclaim statements may be deducted and must be handled under provisions of Rule 13. Rule 15, cars not accepted when offered general provisions. Cars subject to Rule 7 set forth the conditions that must be complied with the interchange car between the connections. Special arrangements between the roads involved are permissible to alter these conditions. B, if 1, unless otherwise agreed between the involved, the interchange cannot be accomplished due to the road's failure to receive the promptly from a connection with cars of which delayed and no embargo. The receiving the car shall be responsible for the car owner for the car hires on the rule so hire held delivery, including the car's own with either the delivering and the receiving line notification of the procedures. It shall be a duty for the connection holding for the car's interchange connection to be accomplished and notify the delinquent carrier the train 808 or 10 type 82 messages must be transmitted by holding railroad with address to the AAR. The messages containing the equipment, the initial number, the load, empty status, empty interchange location, receiving roads interchange representative, the name and the telephone number, the delivering roads representative, the name and telephone number. The AAR will send the train 26 message to the receiving carrier with information noted above. If the receiving carrier responds with a degree for the transfer of the car hire liability, it will transmit train 08 and train number 10 type 86 message. If the receiving the car is responding alternatively does not respond within the time frame noted within paragraph B, the AAR will not notify the holding road equipment owner with receiving the road of the date and the hour of the car hire responsible for the transfer delivering the roads of receiving the road via the train 28 message. If the receiving car can accept receiving carrier can accept cars and interchange does not agree within the transfer liability, the receiving carrier will transmit within the time frames noted in paragraph B the train 08 and train 10 type 89 messages and to the AR. The AR will then generate the train 29 message to delivering and receiving the roads, and transfer liability will not occur. A Class 1 carrier will have 6 months to respond to the train 26 messages. Other than Class 1 carriers will have 12 hours to respond with the train 26 message. T. Acceptance procedure. When the car is accepted, the delinquent time must notify the holding carrier with the date and hour that can be accepted to the interchange track. The holding carrier must deliver such carriers within 24 hours. Question: in case the car held in a certain road is not delivered to that road, but is used for the holding road, can a hire liability be transferred if the road refusing car? Yes, from the day of the hour the official offered until the day of the hour concurrence for such use of the given the delinquent road prior to use of the holding by the holding carrier. Question 2: in the case of that there are held with a certain road with a subsequent delivery to another railroad with the same switching districts expected the movement, can a car hire liability be transferred to the road refusing cars? Yes, from the date and hour offered until the day and hour concurrence with the movement as such as movement is given the delinquent road prior to such handling. Question 3: in the case of cars are held with a certain road and subsequent and on forward road holding cars to expedite the movement, can a car hire in liability be transferred to the road refusing cars? Yes, date and hour if offered the date and hour in occurrence with the movement is given the delinquent the road prior to such handling. Question 4. After the delinquent has been notified holding carrier that the cars cannot be accepted, but before all offered cars are delivered, the delinquent's line again notifies the honest ability to accept some of all the cars were transferred. The car hire reported by the holding carrier continue to remain cars not yet delivered. As in the delinquent line have been notified, it is a liability to accept those remaining cars. Yes. Question 5. How is Rule 15 applied to the cars handled in switching service? The answer of the Rule 15 only protects period of the time offered in official interchange. Rule 16, intentionally not used. Rule 17, arbitration committee. A. The scope. To formally interpret these rules to settle the disputes arising from them, the Safety Operations Management Committee, acting as an operating transportation general committee, shall act with the arbitration committee with the members representing the majority of the total votes of the arbitration committee membership shall be present in the constituted quorum. B. Rule in disputes. In case of the question of the dispute arrived under these rules, it may be submitted to the arbitration committee with the assistance of the Vice President, Business Service, the Secretary, and abstract with the abstract shall briefly set forth over the point of the issue of each of the parties' interpretation of the rules upon the claim is based for the arbitration committee shall be based on the decided decision upon the rules and abstracts submitted with the decision but shall be filed should one of the parties refuse to participate. The arbitration committee will consider the case based for the information submitted by the participating party. All decisions shall be reported by the association with the operation general committee. C. No non-rule disputes. In case of the question shall arise that is not covered by the rules, the roads disagreeing may be mutual consent submitted with such question to the arbitration committee. Allocation of the expense. The Safety Operation Management Committee may appoint with the Secretary of the Arbitration Committee who shall be may be paid by the Association of the Office of the Expense. Arbitration Committee shall be divided equally between each of the parties of the dispute. The Association the expense shall be first paid by the Association, then billed to the parties concerned with the Treasurer Association. Rule 18. Interpretation General Revision of rules. General, the Equipment Assessment Committee of the Association of American Railroads shall have the authority to informally interpret these rules and make the recommendations for the change of revision. Therefore, the Safety Operation Management Committee, acting as an operating general committee, Association of American Railroads, upon approval of the Safe and Operation Management Committee change for the revision of these rules will be submitted to the subscriber's approval. B. Classification status. For the purpose of these rules, all subscribing railroads shall be deemed to have the status for either Class 1, 2, or 3 based on the subscribing railroad annual operating revenue set forth in the classification rules served for the Transportation Board, Title 49 CFR Part 1, 1201. 1.1 and amendments thereto. With respect to subscribing the railroads who have the operating general revenue generally calculated with the non-U.S. currency, for the purpose of these rules, the value of such railroad operating revenue shall also reported by the end of such reporting year with a calendar, otherwise converted in U.S. dollars in accordance with the applicable currency conversion with the rate reported with the Wall Street Journal as the latest business day applicable reporting year. Rule 19. Plenary powers of business service. The general provision. The Board of Directors Association of American Railroads shall establish a business service group at the headquarters of Washington, D.C. with safety on operation to maximize utilization of freight cars, consistent, equitable distribution thereof at the particular time of the area of the car shortage of the car service with the car hire activity of the business service division, but shall be under the supervision of assistant vice presidents appointed with the vice president of safety operation for the war. Aforesaid purpose shall be vested in plenary power. To supervise application car service with the car hire rules, to suspend with the permanent departure for the car service rules 1, 2, 6, inclusive except for the provided in Rule 20. Assumption necessary with any type of the provision with the car service rules 1 to 6, inclusive of the provided regulations on such cars shall be handled. To transfer cars with the one railroad territory to another necessary needs to meet the traffic conditions consistent with the car ownership requirements of the industry with embargoes, reroute orders as agents for the serving and disabled the railroads to prevent undue freight car accumulation, ensure the timely movement of the traffic. He conducting an investigation, including examination of the car records, as may be necessary to ensure the observance of the car hire service and car hire rules, or any order and directives issued of the business services will be when deemed necessary for the desirable to report all the facts. Recommendation of the General Committee and the Safety Operations. F. The obtaining of the car location statement and other performance statistics deemed necessary for the carrying out of the functions. Performing the following. They assess if the railroad to failure to comply with the car distribution order, directive of the special car order, the issue of the business service which orders of the directive to provide with the provision in paragraph G shall apply with thereto with the amount with the assessment of failure to deliver the cars in accordance with the distribution orders issued for the business service shall minimum be a minimum of $50 each car that is not delivered in accordance with the order. The amount of the assessment of the violation discovered in such a special car orders issued business service shall be in a minimum of $15 each act of the constitute a violation. The prior approval of the president of the Association of American Railroads be effective during any stated period of time. The amount of assessment hereby and authorized to meet the may be assessed by Assistant Vice President, Business Service Division, Secretary, at a level of $500. Notice all of the changes in level above $50 minimum will be given into each of the railroads subject to the rule at least 5 days in advance of the effective date of such a change. 2. For the purpose of the rule, the car owner of the railroad control for the service the purpose of upon the complaint of the car owner, the business service shall investigate whether the railroad had been loaded violation of the applicable business service directive within the 90 days prior to the receipt of such complaint. If the association vice president of the business service secretary determined the violation have occurred, the car service officer of the car owner shall be notified of the facts, circumstances of such violation. The car owner will then communicate with the car service officer with the violating railroad seeking their equitable agreement associated with such uses. The car owner cannot be reached with equitable agreement of then violating the railroad. The car owner must have within 45 days after which originally notified by the AAR of the violation, advising the AAR. Of the day of the car owner notified the car service officer of the violating railroad, will the fact that the circumstances of alleged violation by the car owner is unable to reach the equitable arrangement with the violation railroad concerning the uses of the question. In question, the AAR will report the detail of the facts, circumstances of the alleged violation, but the equipment assessed committee next in order to the committee can determine the assessment should be leveled in accordance with paragraph G1. The next meeting with the committee occurred within 30 days of the violation of the railroad was notified of the alleged violation. The matter will be addressed in the following members of the following meeting. Each party will present the written abstract of the oral presentation before the committee. With the majority of the membership of the committee shall be the equivalence to a quorum. The majority of the vote of the president shall govern. Members of the committee involved with the dispute beginning to consider the disqualified discussion. Voting with the dispute being considered the committee's decision is final. All funds received with an assessment provided in the paragraph G shall be available and payable to the Association of American Railroads. A percentage of the funds collected will be used with the business service to defray this cost or associated with administrating the assessment process. The remaining percentage will be distributed to the car owner involved with such assets. With the check funds for the calculated will be distributed as follows. Assessment level 100, AAR portion 90, to owner portion 10, 200 assessment level, $200 assessment, AAR portion 80, owner portion 10, 20, 375, AAR portion 25, owner portion 400, assessment level 70, AAR portion 30, owner portion 500 plus 65%, AAR portion 35%, owner portion. Age, performance such other duties that may be also assigned by the Vice President of Safety of Operations. Rule 20, Agreement with the Canadian Railroads. Departure for the car service Rules 1 through 6 inclusive with the effect of the Canadian Railway cars of the United States Railroads for the United States Railway cars on the Canadian rails shall be the only agreement that is between the Association of American Railroads and the Rail Association of Canada. Rule 21, reclaims the D-Transportation Code. Authority of the content. Carrier cannot do advance for the empty for the car containing the D-Transportation Code made effective after notification to the owner. Reclaim the time of the portion. Car hire paid for the day of the hour. Owner was notified with the date and the hour of the empty for the interchange. The other carrier that reclaimed shall contain the car initial number, the storage location, beginning with the date and the hour, with the ending of the hour. If the car has reclaimed under the rule, the such hire shall be reclaimed for the same time period under the other car hire rule. If the loading of the road and like to load the car effective with a notification with the owner of the right to reclaim under this rule is forfeited. The time limits refer to the car hire rules 13, 14 to determine the time limits prescribed, procedures issuing, handling, and deducting reclaims. Rule 22, reclaiming loading delay. Owner's responsibility. A. General claims may be made under this rule shall be prepared on the form similar to the shown in the appendix K. Loading point referred to this rule mean that any point of the limits fishing district in which the industry beginning to service is located. 3. Date and hour placed in loading with the referred into this rule will be dated in an hour and demarrage free time of the commencing or the day of the hour release loaded, whichever comes first. 4. When the assigner is granted the relief of the storage of the charges to provide with the service to order and the tariff, the car owner will allow the reclaim hours to be so exempted with the storage charges. 2. Car service in Rule 16 assigned. When the owner of the leaser of the car order of the cars was assigned with a specific shipper of the national customer pool in accordance with the provision of car service Rule 16 for the road over the loading and the reclaim of the idle time when held and loading of the point will be allowed with the date and the hour of the arrival of the loading point of evidence for the car movement in the record for the date and hour placed for the loading evidence for the demurrage report of the date of the hour subject to the storage charges. 2, for empty cars held in longer than 24 hours. When empty cars assigned with a ship at a specific location are held in excess of 24 hours, a holding point short of the loading point of the car area which with the pool is assigned the pool operator, the owner and leaser will allow the reclaim of and from all detention from the time of the date and the hour of the arrival of the holding point of the date and the hour of the departure from the holding point of evidence for the car movement records, excluding the hours of the subject with the storage charge and change of the reclaim will be allowed the assigner request for the writing of the car to be held to the assigner when the assigner cannot immediately accept the on-arrival loading of the point, but it cannot be responsible for held on the track of the loading point. B, an empty national customer pool cars that are held with the holding point short of the loading point in excess of 24 hours. The railroad of the subscriber to that pool owner and leaser they will be reclaimed from all detention time of the date and an hour of the arrival of the holding point and day of the an hour of the departure from holding residence for the car movement the records excluding the hours of the subject for the storage charges. 3. When the empty of the cars are ordered home from the holding of the loading point, reclaim all car hires will be allowed from the date and hour arrival over the holding and loading point. Evidence for the car movement, the record of the date and hour delivered to the owner, excluding the hours of the car, the subject for the store changes. When the empty cars are ordered with the holding and loading point to the new load point, the reclaim was allowed from the date of the hour arrival of the holding and loading point of the date and hour forward evidence by the car movement of the records excluding the hours can be subject to storage charges. Part 5. With the concurrence of all the railroads involved, the agreements may be negotiated to also reclaim on a proration of the detention of all the cars assigned with participation of the carrier's direct relation to the proportion of the revenue received and any other agreed upon basis. C. Other assigned cars. With the concurrency of the transportation other than the officer of the holding of the railroad with the assigned cars may be ordered to the road for loading. If reclaimed with the Alzheimer with the help of the loading point will be allowed with the date and hour of the arrival of the loading point and evidence for the car moved with the records for the date and hour provided with the loading and evidence by the demerized report or to the date and hour storage charges commence the provisions in paragraph B 2, 3, 4, and 5 will be applied to these cars. D. Rates. The rates will be used to recalculate reclaim shall be rates paid by the reclaiming road to the car owner. E. Time limits for further car hire rules 13 and 14 determine the time limits procedure for the issuing, handling, and deducting reclaims. Rule 23. Storage reclaim under Title 49 CFR 1039.14 C12. I have authority for the content. The carriers may reclaim their car hire payments on a boxcar equipment authorized in Title 49 CFR 1039.14 C12. Reclaim shall contain the individual car storage location beginning with the end of the month, day of the hour. The car hire reclaimed under this rule. Such car hire will not be reclaimed for the same time period under any other car hire rule. Refer to the car hire rule 13 and 14. Determine time limits procedure for the issuing, handling, deducting reclaims. Rule 24, empty mileage charges under the car service. Rule 5, statement and procedure. Statement of charges shall be presented with the requesting the road for the car owner is applicable within 3 months of the last day of the month in which the cars are moved. Statement of the contained with the individual car's origin with the destination move with the day and the arrival of the billable mileage charges shall be allowed with either without deduction no later than other than 10th day of the 3rd month of the following in which the statement is received. The statement of the charges partially and totally declined must be returned by the issue prior to the last of the day of the 3rd month of the following the month which statements were received. The privilege contained thereafter shall be conceived that either road fails to the return into other than 2 months after the last day of the month in which it was received, and the delinquent road is responsible for the adjusted amount. Rule 25, car hire arbitration. Definitions used for this rule, the following terms should be the following means. The arbitration award, the decision arbitrated as to the car hire rate determines the pursuant to the arbitrator under paragraph C of this rule. Arbitrator and arbitrator selected pursuant to the paragraph C7B of this rule. 3, a freight car bearing railroad reporting marks from which the higher rates are not prescribed by the Surface Transportation Board. 4, owner, rail carrier entitled to receive that car hire. 5, the user of a rail car in possession of which it is not the owner. Negotiation process. Whenever an owner of the user process proposes to establish a new rate, however, the change of the existing rate would to be paid for the use of the car, and either was such to the proposed rate with the AR or negotiate the bilateral agreement directly with the other party. The AR shall permit only the owner with the use of such rail car if they have access to any of the proposed rate that has been filed with the shall be kept the rates confidential. 2, if the rate proposed by the owner and the rate proposed by the user are identical, such proposed rate shall be automatically taken effect. If the owner proposes a charge less paragraph, the existing rate of the or use of the process to more than existing rate, such proposed rate shall automatically take an effect, proceed, provided, however, that the such rate proposed to be effective may be specified in a period of time. The rate shall be effective only for such a period. The expiration of such a period of the time, if any of the users shall pay the rate previously in effect, the case for the car which for the rate currently in effect, a change in the existing rate may be proposed in effective specified period of time. The rates proposed by the auto owner and the user are identical, proposed effective for the identical period of time. The rate shall be automatically taken effect for such period of time. After expiration of the such period of time, the user shall pay the rate with the previously in effect. 3. If an owner proposes to charge more than the existing rate, but the rate proposed by the user of the user proposes to pay less than the existing rate, but the rate proposed by the owner, the user shall continue to pay the rate less in effect with which prescribed the Surface Transportation Board, established by a bilateral agreement of arbitration award. For the absence of the existing car, but the car shall be deemed to have the rate equal to the lowest negotiated positive rate and the effect for the equipment time at the end of the previous quarter. 4. The rate to be paid with the changes at any time of the filling with the AAR new rate set by the bilateral provided by the however the AAR received the confirmation such rate with the both parties. The rate may be changed at any time of the expiration effective period established pursuant to paragraph C5H of this rule. The car hire rate established for the arbitration award following the AAR certified copy of the subsequent arbitration award. 5. A new rate established pursuant to this rule will become effective at the first day of the next calendar month after the such the rate is filled by the ARA. Notwithstanding the definition for the car, paragraph A of this rule, either the following: an owner of the user may conclude with the bilateral agreement for a car with the car hire rate is prescribed by the Surface Transportation Board through the use of the negotiation process established in paragraph 3 of this rule. 2. Any owner voluntarily electing to designate a car such as one of which for the car hire rules are not prescribed by the Surface Transportation Board must provide notice of such election with the AR at least 90 days prior to the effective date of such election. If the owner does not hold legal title of the car, such notice shall include the written consent of the such for the election of the party holding legal title and consistent with the by Title 49 CFR 1033-1. The car subsequently becomes the subject of the rate prescribed in the Surface Transportation Board, Title 49 CFR 1033.1. The owner shall notify the AAR in any case in which the written binding of the contract purchase of the bill with the owner of the user that may conclude the bilateral agreement through the use of the negotiation process established in paragraph B of this rule may attribute to the pursuant of paragraph C of the rule prior to the placement of the car. Alright, C. Arbitration. If the owner and the owner and the user of the car are unable to successfully conclude in a bilateral agreement with the car hire, the parties may jointly seek to resolve the dispute pursuant to the procedure of the agreement upon. Either the party may submit matters to the American Arbitration Association for the arbitration pursuant to this rule. The disputes involving this prudency on the V-type cars are not subject to the arbitration pursuant to this rule. The exclusion does not forfeit the subscribers from entering the agreement that they may differ from this rule. 2. Regarding the best and final offers, either party may require the exchange of the best and final offer, notifying other party by the AR. Upon receiving such request, the AR shall notify the both parties to file the AR best the final offer of the day certain by the 25 calendars after the date of the notification sent by the AR. The party failed the best and final offer within the AR within 28-day period. The proposed rate last filled by the AR shall be deemed to be best and final offer. If the party has failed to file its best and final offer that has previously from the proposed rate with the AR, the previously existing rate will be deemed to be the best and final offer. The AR shall simultaneously disclose the best and final offers to the parties as soon as the both best and final offers has been received. If all the cars designated by the owner's request for a best final offer of the new with the built when the Rule 88 rebuilt with the increase of the life status of the January 1st, 1993 or later, the current applicable rate with all the cars default rate of the non-requesting parties best of the final offer of the response of the will become the effective rate with all the such cars on the first day of the allowing month subject to the arbitration prescribed below. See, notwithstanding paragraph 2B with above the car owner requested the best of the final offer, the best of final offer, the time mileage of prudency rates, and as applicable equal to lower the use of the best and final offer, the owner's best and final offer will become the effective of the market's rate with the first day of the subsequent month. All other best and final offers remain binding with the purpose of the arbitration in the period of 180 days following the day of such best and final offers were discussed in the AR. 3. At any time after the best and final offers have disclosed the parties of the AR, either the party may initiate final with the binding of the arbitration in accordance with the paragraph C of this rule, When a merger of two more railroads occur, the best final offer of the process of the files if and only when the merging railroad continue with the existing, the merger best and final offers are applicable to the railroad continue with if the other railroad must be being merged as part of the transaction having outstanding with the best and final offers will be canceled with the effective date of the merger. B. If a new railroad is created, the railroad shall choose to pay the payable rates to one of the merger railroads in all cases the receipt Rule 1J and are the best final offers associated with the railroad with the payable rates when it was chosen in the new railroad will continue. If the other railroad being merged as part of the transaction without outstanding best and final offers will be canceled on the effective date of the merger. 5. When the merger of the two or more railroads occur with the arbitration process, it will also be as follows. If only the merging railroad continue with the existence of 5 after the merger of the arbitration proceed, the applicable to that of the railroad will continue with if the other railroad being merged as part of the transaction outstanding arbitration proceedings there will be canceled effective date of the merger. B. A new railroad is created that will choose the payable rights for one of the merged railroads. See the Rule 1I. Any associated attribution procedure with the railroad shall be whose payable rate was chosen. The new railroad will continue, and another railroad being merged as part of the transaction having the outstanding arbitration proceeding that will be canceled on the effective date of the merger. Except as otherwise provided in paragraph C7 of the arbitration conducted in accordance with the commercial arbitration rule of the American Arbitration Association. Unless otherwise mutually agreed upon by the parties, a party initiating arbitration shall submit with the demand of the arbitration using section 1 of the A or car hire arbitration form, appendix F of the American Arbitration Association to deliver a copy of such demand in arbitration over the overnight over the other party. The demanding of the arbitration shall include the prescribed precise description of the car's issue. All disputes shall be adjudicated by the one of the arbitrators shall be experiencing the arbitration complex matters of the magnitude similar in the matter of the dispute. The American Arbitration Association shall appoint the arbitrator within 30 days of the receipt of the demand of the arbitrator submitted with the paragraph C7A. C. Within 30 days after the receipt of the other party the demand for the arbitration, each of the parties shall send the confidential statement, including any of the such supporting material of the arbitration, setting forth the evidence for the agreement in support of its position. Copy of such a statement shall be delivered to the other party with overnight mail. Each party shall be given in 30 days additional day to submit with a reply of the statement of the arbitrator. The copy of the reply of the statement of the if any shall be delivered over the party with the overnight. The arbitrator's decision shall be based on the written material submitted under paragraph C. No hearing shall be conducted unless the final mutually agreed to both parties to do the arbitration, provided, however, the arbitrator may request a telephonic conference in order to pose the questions to one of the both of the parties. Each party shall be entitled to participate in such conference. C. The arbitrator shall select the best and final offer to disclose under the fair market rental value of the cars and issue demand with the basis of the evidence comparable arm length transaction involving the combination railroad shipper and other parties. The term fair market rental value shall be interpreted in favor of the economic interest of the car, either car owner, if the users are intended to reflect both of the car owner and the car users. E. The arbitrator shall be considered relevant evidence except the proposed rates filled with the party of the A are in the accordance with the paragraph B1 of this rule. The rates demanded applying to the paragraph pursuant to paragraph B3 of this rule. Prior to the arbitration award, the arbitration award shall finally binding of the parties that shall be delivered to each of the parties of the AR within 5 days of the decision of the arbitrator using section 3 of the AR car hire rule. Arbitration form or appendix F of the arbitration shall not render the option to comment of the other statement concerning the award. After the request for either party, the good cause shown by the arbitrator provided with the confidential treatment of the commercial sensitive information. The arbitration process concluded with a decision rendered within 90 days after the receipt of the American Arbitration Association the demand of the arbitration. 60 days after the appointment of the arbitration was later. The car hire rate established with the arbitration award shall remain in effect until the new rate was established by a bilateral agreement subsequent to arbitration awarded provided. However, the new rate established with the subsequent arbitration award shall take in effect with the rate established with the previous arbitration award has been in effect with a period of 1 year. However, the parties of the share equally $3,000 injured with the administrative fees expense for the American Distributed Arbitration Association. The party rates for the not selected by the arbitrator shall bear with such fee for the expense with the excess of $3,000 any fees associated by on behalf of the arbitrator. Any party arbitrating may petition the arbitrator, appropriate court for the enforcement and the reviewing the award for the accordance with the United States Arbitration Act of 1949, U.S. Standard Code, Sequence 1 and 10 sequence. Pending judicial review, the rate with the effect shall be the rate with established arbitration award. Alright, D. Voting procedure. Adopting an amendment of the rules of affirmative of the voting of the members of the equipment and asset of the committee owning of not less than 67% of the revenue freight cars to being such members any time prior to the effective date of the proposed amendment of this rule. The representative of the American Shoreline Regional Railroad Association Equipment Status Asset Committee may request the Class 3 subscriber review of each proposed amendment. Pending the completion of such review, amendment shall not become effective. 2. When a Class 3 subscriber review is requested, the Secretary will promptly put to all the Class 3 subscribers the question whether they oppose the proposed amendment, and the majority of the Class 3 subscribers oppose the amendment. It shall not become effective. Rule 26, contact registration. In order to provide current, accurate contact information in the industry, that each character must register at least one car, accounting with one car hire or negotiation. Contact Rail Incorporated Find Us Rail application. Find Us Rail can be accessed in railincorporated.com. Find Us Rail pub.home action DOL. All information requiring the final Find Us Rail may be supplied with and maintained to each of the carrier. The car hire rules appendixes.